For this session, I am back at Salhouse Broad, a water I haven't fished for a few months. I have tried many different rivers, broads and canals this year, and whilst it's nice for the variety, it's not that great for the fishing. Fishing all of these locations means I haven't learned how to get the most from any of them and have no detailed knowledge to draw on. Rather than flitting around and constantly changing locations, I have decided to focus on 2 locations from now until the end of the season, and Salhouse Broad is one of them. Consequently, I will be fishing this broad several times over the next few months. Even though there are dog walkers milling around, the broad is pretty empty, which given the time of year is to be expected. Even though there are few people around, I am going to start this session up the far bank and out of the way. From there, I'll work my way back and hopefully get a perch or 2 along the way. For this session, I decided to leave the drop shot gear at home and jig a bait across the bed of the broad. I have to admit that I've used the drop shot more than the jig this year, but after a barrage of comments and also abuse from other anglers who claim to know what they are doing, I am jigging. Because of the issues I had using the Fox micro jigs during a fishing session on the River Bure at Wroxham, I no longer use the small hook jig heads. In my experience, these micro jigs aren't man enough for use on the broads, and the slightest bit of weed leads to a straightened hook. Check out the video in the card re my Fox micro jig heads to see what I mean. Rather than use a micro jig head, I am using a 2 gram Crazy Fish flex head available from AGM products with a small VMC round hook. The VMC hooks are thicker wire, but they are strong, sharp, and I have total confidence in them. This is the furthest swim you can get to without a boat and is what I call the top part of the broad. This section of the broad is pretty windy and the water is choppy. Casting this 2 gram flex head is a challenge, and getting the lure out any distance simply isn't happening. The wind is also making keeping the line tight impossible, and it's also damn chilly here too. I reckon a heavier flex head would make things a little easier, but then if I clip on a 10 gram flex head or something, it wouldn't be micro jigging or finesse fishing, so I'll carry on as is and see if I can make it work. Whilst I'm in this swim, it's time for a quick change to the Sunny Cam glasses. Whilst getting my kit together for this session, I stumbled across my pair of Sunnycam glasses, so I thought I would see what they are like to record my fishing antics. I bought the Sunnycam glasses just under 5 years ago for cycling, and I didn't get around to using them before I mislaid them. The Sunnycam glasses records at 30 frames per second at a maximum 720p, and whilst this may have been considered adequate 5 years ago, it definitely isn't nowadays. The quality is, in all honesty, pretty pants, and the depth of field, i.e. the bit in focus, is terrible. I was hoping the footage captured with the Sunnycam glasses was going to be better than this, but hey ho. Now I have used glasses with a built-in video camera to record some of a fishing session, I have to say I think there is a lot of potential there for POV footage. I really like the view, however to get the most of it I think it was going to take a bit of practice on head positioning. A pair of glasses with a decent built-in camera is something I'm going to look into for the future, if there is such a thing of course. That's enough of the Sunnycam and my future recording equipment, back to the fishing. After having a quick look at this swim, I decided against it. The wind was blowing in real hard, which was going to make casting difficult, and combine this with the low overhead trees, it would be madness to try and cast a lure. Consequently, it was time to move on and move to the other end of the Broad, which I hoped was going to be sheltered from the wind. I was intending to fish my way from the top swim back to the entrance, but the strong wind has made me change my mind, and I've decided to head straight on over to the other side where there should be a bit of shelter. I am now at the other end of the Broad, and as expected, this area is far more sheltered. The 2 ground flex head jig type setup is easier to use down this end of the Broad, but to get out further and get a bit more feel of the bottom, I need to use a heavier weight. So I've changed it to a 7 gram weight, which is another crazy fish flex head. Changing the weight is a quick and simple exercise, and there is no need to tie in another rig. This is the beauty of the flex head weight system, it's just so versatile. The fishing at Salhouse Broad was tough, and, as you've probably already guessed, I blanked. I got talking to 3 other anglers, all of who were tossing different lures for the perch and pike, and none of which of them had caught anything either. It's comforting to know I wasn't the only angler that blanked, but it is a shame too.